Okay, we're gonna see how things go today. Today is June 4th. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning, and I am going to check out this protest rally that's being held in the Moraga Commons Park. And so far there's a whole bunch of cars parked over there, as you can see behind me. We'll see what happens at this rally.
In jail. So we are criminalizing people for having a medical condition. So I actually started a movement called Black Minds Matter too. If you're wearing one of these ribbons, this ribbon, the green is for mental health awareness. But until
to make sure that we educate ourselves, our families, our friends, to take steps to destroy the systemic racism in this country.
Just now, in the fall coming up for 2020, are hosting an ethnic studies course. Yeah. Many of you are clapping because that was the first thing I noticed on day one. I mean, we have AP European History, AP Art History, World History, US History, and none of them is specifically designed to highlight ethnic studies when pretty much this world is full of all people and all races, correct? But when you hear over and over the stories from students here, black and white, it's hard to turn a blind ear. So I'm trying to figure out how after all these years, teachers, counselors, administration, how can you not hear what they have to say? How can you not support anything that they say and challenge it? Why is it that any race of a kid can call a black person the N-word and the kid is not suspended? Exactly. There's no repercussions. You know, those things, if there are no repercussions for when racist activities happen, then you're going to continue on to live in the world that we are today, unfortunately. All across the board, when you have hate rhetoric and speech lined up and designed to target all races, but it's crazy to see how you can pretty much say it's all racist problem in terms of what they're saying, in terms of hate speech, but it's still directly affecting African Americans. How? How? Why is it that we see, yes, it's the revolution is televised,
And I know a lot of people want to delete Instagram right now. I know it hurts, but If you're uncomfortable, you cannot look away. You simply cannot. That's the time to dig your heels in and stare at that, to say something about it, and to make a difference in your community, your family, everywhere, okay? It's a privilege to be able to look away. Black people can't delete Instagram and not experience racism, okay? That's not how it works. You owe it to them to look and to say something.
And this weekend is an example of what happens when pandemics collide. Protesting one while potentially exposing yourself to another. And the police are trying to tell people to stay home because of the risk of COVID spreading. It just shows that some consider one pandemic more important to them than the other. That's all.
Speak for this community. I can speak for the community of La Morinda, one where racism is so deeply ingrained that we sometimes forget to talk about it. The adults in this community set the tone for future generations to come. Your children listen to you. We are constantly absorbing everything you say. So what have you said? My good friend Athena Davis compiled a series of posts and comments found on Nextdoor. On February 4th, the perps out there are thugs. Everyone should be alert of cars and people in them who don't fit in. On May 31st, I'm sure the thugs in Oakland will go back into quarantine. Quote, the degenerates that spread their destructive ghetto culture. Quote, pick these low lives up. We read your posts. We hear you implying black with the use of the word thug. We hear you generalize about an entire race, reducing them down to criminals, degenerates, and lowlifes. Let's look to the schools that we send our children to. Miramonte High School will have an incoming freshman class with less black students than I can count on one hand. We see you. We see you blocking the transfer of students from outside our districts. We watch you as you resegregate our schools. We watch you as you prioritize a $3 million yearly budget over equal education regardless of race or social status. Let's look to our own privilege. As a woman of color, but of Asian descent, I cannot claim white privilege for myself. Nor can I claim that I was subjected to the same oppression that Black and Latino people face. And it's easy to conflate anti-Asian racism with anti-Black racism, right? I mean, they're both racism. Wrong. The creation of a model minority minimizes the role racism plays in persistent struggles of other racial and ethnic minority groups, especially Black Americans. But the reason why I'm saying this and the reason why I'm telling you is because in the community of La Morinda, White people make up 80.25% of the population. Asians make up 12.03% of the population, and our Black sisters and brothers make up 0.96% of the La Miranda population. We do not need to look further than the Caldecott Tunnel to see where changes need to be made. We as individuals cannot enact the widespread change in every city, county, and town, but armed with our right to vote and armed with the freedom of speech, we can make a difference where it matters. Let us not scream into the void. Let us scream at our very own communities, because that is where we're going to make the difference.
All right. Woo!
Your first real accomplishment in life, that's something that you need to hold on to. But guess what, 2020? You guys have a better graduation ceremony. You guys are fighting for equality. This could be the year that everything turns around. And you guys are at the forefront. You could look back on this day, 50 years down the line, if we're lucky to be alive, and you could say, hey, I was a part of that change. I was somebody that cared for my fellow man. It's crazy to look back when you think that our school systems, they were segregated for quite some time, right? Desegregation only happened in 1954, Brown versus Board of Education. My grandmother was born in 1947. That's only 2 generations removed. And now here you are, all today, able to share an experience in the classroom, learn each other, besides each other's cultures. It's a beautiful moment, right? It's something that we want to behold. And something, brings us here today. Unfortunately, someone had to lose their life in order for us to actually band together. And I began to think that as a black man growing up, I'm from Oakland, California, right across the Caldecott. Also, I'm a Marine Corps vet, served 2011 through 2016.
All right.
And to think that I wanted to serve a country that I felt like I belonged to, a nation that I felt like I belonged to. And to think that to come home, everybody telling me they're proud, you're doing a good thing, you're making a great sacrifice, and we support you. But how can you actually say you support me if you don't even treat my people right? Now, don't get me wrong. You guys are all my people. And I am yours. We're here to fight for each other. We're here to break the silence on the things that happen today. We have protests, peaceful protests that are going on across the world. Can you believe that? 18 other countries besides this nation are out there helping us protest.